Good afternoon. We are going to start our budget hearing for the DPW. Glad to be joined by Councilor Hogan, Councilor Caldwell, Councilor Green, Councilor Monto, Councilor Paniagua, President Hudson, Councilor Allen, and also Councilor Schultz. Commissioners, take us away, please.
Sorry. Hey, how's it going? Good afternoon, councilors. I'm Jeremy Robinson, the Commissioner of Public Works, and sitting next to me is First Deputy Ann Fordock. We also have Rich DeVesti, and you know our infamous leader, Corey Driscoll Dunham.
Never enough.
Before we get started, I would just like to thank the council for your support and all your resources that you've given us. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do our job. So thank you on that.
Thank you.
This year we're going to implement the new sanitation program, giving city residents trash carts, and without your support, we wouldn't be able to do that. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
So the Department of Public Works consists of about 10 different departments. We say 10, but it's more like 13. It's non-budgeted, but we also have street lighting and sidewalks and other departments that fit in departments. So we call those departments as well. So keeping that in mind. And this year our budget is pretty much on line with last year's budget, so you'll see that when we go over it. So go on department by department. Is that okay, Counselor?
Yes.
Okay. President Hudson, it's okay?
It's not my meeting, is it?
I just know you're the leader.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's wait till next week. No, that's fine.
Well, it's raining outside. I don't think you got nowhere to go. All right, so our first department is the main office. You can see here that we have 3 new positions in our department, which is a deputy commissioner position, director of special projects, which he's just walked in, Neil Burke, as well as a project coordinator. Any questions on main office?
I just have a quick question.
Yes.
I asked this last year, and I've emailed you a few times this year about it, but the education line, which I think has been zeroed out, I'm sorry.
I was prepared for that.
Constituent communication is so core to my existence, and tell me where that is.
So it's not in the budget. So we work with the communications team in the mayor's office. So we recognize that we don't do a great job at communicating, and we are definitely working with our communications team. Kelly Montague, if you haven't met her, she's excellent. We work with her a lot on educating the public about recon, about any street closures. So yeah, we recognize that over the years DPW has lacked in communication, and we want to make sure that we admit our faults and actually get help with the professionals, which is Kelly and her team.
Commissioner, let me ask you a question. I'm going to stay in the main office. I'll jump all over the place, but I'm going to stay with you today. It says employees authorized 332, estimated 340, anticipated 340. So is that the overall, all of your department?
What page are you on?
I'm on 152.
152, okay.
It's the main office.
Yep.
So is that overall for all of your areas and all your departments, that number?
Can you ask that question again? I'm sorry. You said 340.
Employees authorized. It's 332 actual, 340 estimate, and 340 anticipated. Is that the
whole DPW? Yes.
Okay, and as we talked about, shortage of staff, so those are not enough people for you, right? No, just answer the question.
I don't think any department has enough people, so no. I want more, and yeah, I'm gonna stay with that.
You gonna stay with that?
I'm gonna stay with that.
So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that you said you were 7 down, right?
No, we had 7 last year. Now we got 10 in main office. Are you talking about in main office, or are you just talking about?
You're down on vacancies.
Vacancies in main office?
Vacancies in the whole structure, because you're saying that it's for the whole structure.
No, I couldn't tell you that number offhand, how many people were down for the entire DPW, but okay.
How many?
Julie, our fearless budget leader.
34 for all the Fund 01 and then 5 in sewers for full-time positions.
34 and then 5 in sewers?
And then you're down 21 temps.
21 what, babe?
Temps. So
Okay.
50.
34 and 31.
Okay. So the temps that you said were down, are we going to be getting temp workers this year?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I can guarantee you we get temps.
Okay.
That won't be a problem. Temps are never a
I
problem.
mean, the temps will come in, but we're still going to be down 34 people.
And we're still steadily recruiting. We have interviews pretty much every day in different departments that they qualify for.
Do the temps ever move over to those? Is there enough
Yes.
for them to fill those other vacancies?
So it's not that easy. So it's usually vacancies. Some vacancies require CDLs, some require different, credentials, and the credentials that they fit, we usually move them over. So a lot of them morph into sanitation.
Do we offer those trainings?
Yes.
So let me ask you this, Commissioner, and it may not be you, but it was the previous administration. So anybody that tried to get in, when you said you move them to sanitation, anybody that tried to get into that department, they were basically told they had to have a CDL just to come in entry. Is that still the case?
Not necessarily. If we have MEO openings, then yes, they have to have a CDL. Usually our labor positions don't have to have them, but they usually never come up. We usually fill them with our temps and or someone that either wanted to come from parks or transfers.
Okay, lateral. So, I don't want to beat this down. Go ahead, let's keep moving.
No, I can answer it if you need me.
Because I got stuck. I don't want you to know I forgot what I was going to ask.
That's all right.
Looking at the 34 number, and you're saying that there's not necessarily that they need a CDL.
No, not all of them. I meant we have a bunch of them that do. I bet Julie has that off the top of her head.
I was going to ask her.
How many positions need CDLs? MEOs?
I can just tell you by department.
Okay.
So you've got 5 open in environmental services, 3 in building services.
That's 8.
5 in street cleaning, 11 in street repair, 5 in MEM, 2 in waste, and 3 in transportation.
So that's pretty much 90% of the
So they don't need
openings.
CDLs?
No, they do.
They
correct?
do?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the toughest part. Like we usually have a lot of applicants, but not a lot of applicants with CDL credentials.
Okay, thank you.
So people that are trying to get into DPW, their first step should be to obtain a CDL license.
Permit.
And then,
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Get their permit. I say the best way is get your permit, try to get in there as a temp, and usually we'll try to get you your license while you're working there. And it's a, 4-month, 5-month temp job, somewhere around there?
So every sanitation worker has to get a CDL to work?
No.
So a laborer, what is it, laborer 2 doesn't have to get a CDL?
Laborer 2 has to get a CDL, but we don't have any laborers.
doesn't have.
No.
So if there's a laborer 1 vacancy, he doesn't have to have a CDL?
No, they can just go right into the
How many
position.
laborer 1's vacancies do we have?
I just know the total by department. There's probably about a handful, I would say.
I would say, I don't think there's any, to be honest. Maybe 1 or 2, and they're probably been interviewed and almost getting ready to hire right now. They come up quick. It's like, I always call it as like McDonald's. You get one, they lose one comes right in right after.
I'm just wondering, like, most of the complaints we get are, because I always get a hold of you.
Yeah.
Are about pickups, just picking up trash and stuff like that. That would just be like a laborer.
Laborer 1.
One.
Yes.
So I think it'd be, if we, laborer 1 or a temp would be able to do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have vacancies in those positions.
We have 6 temp positions open that we're probably going to get filled. We interview ahead of time, so they might be open now, but July 1st, once the budget starts, they'll be filled.
And then one more in the main, and I know what the answer is going to be. This was just a grade change, right, for Commissioner of Public Works?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have my window here. Frank, this might be more for you, but the pattern seems to be that every time we ask about vacancies, it's hard for us to get an answer from each department how many vacancies there are. Is there movement towards a real employee management system? That might be a big question, but go ahead.
Is there movement? Yes. Is there quick movement? I mean, it's a huge undertaking. So what we're discussing is, do we need to take interim steps in order to more precisely answer these questions? I think you heard rough numbers, but yeah, we'd love to know precisely, but there's so many moving parts. There could be a vacancy at DPW that we don't know about yet, or we could have been sending over applicants that they don't know about yet. So there's a lot of moving parts, and there's no single place where it all exists. So the short answer is we're not there yet, but we're trying.
Thank you.
Well, just to follow up on Councilor Manto, how are we exactly trying to find people to work? I mean, I know we had the personnel director here talk about Indeed and all that, but are we, I don't know if are we aggressive enough to try to find people to work for the city of Syracuse? Or
are we aggressive enough for the current market? The answer is no. Are we more aggressive than we ever have been? Yes. I mean, we do all kinds of outreach, whether we're doing it at schools or going out and doing job fairs and all kinds of things that we never did in the past. But do we need a dedicated group of folks that are out doing recruiting? Sure.
All set?
One more question, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Full of them. So when you do the cleanups, I'm looking at the different cleanups. When you do the cleanups for the festivals and different things like that, there's no cost to them?
Oh, man. I wouldn't say that. I think that's a parks question.
Oh, okay. But DPW,
But we help. Yeah, we help.
is there a cost to them, Corey?
It's got to be a fee, right?
Yes, there is. I don't have the fees off the top of my head, but we do. We do charge people for the services we provide relative to festivals. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Robinson, look, we smiling.
Of course. Bulldogs.
Quick question. So, and I'm a little ahead of myself, but I'm like, Madam President, I don't want to forget what I'm going to say. Right? I have to write little notes. For the laborer ones here, it says they make.
What page you're on?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, 157.
Okay.
Personal statement. They make, they're grade 3, and they make 1838 between 1830 and 1997. Right?
Yes.
So what about, so these is coming in, right? And this probably contractual agreement is probably union, but I'm just curious, the people that's been there a long time, like, so are they, some of them are just making this, huh?
I believe there's steps. Longevity. Yeah. So I couldn't answer that, but can budget answer that?
Only why I said that is because I know, like, so for instance.
So I know there's steps to.
There's steps based on how long you've been in the position, and then there are also longevity payments that most, I think all public contracts have, where once you hit 5 years, you get, $2,000 or whatever the figure is.
So what I'm saying is, so for instance, 10 years ago, minimum wage was what? We were paying like 13.
$5.25?
That's probably like 15, 10, 12, I don't know, right? Yeah.
$5.25.
it was 5.
Was it?
Yeah.
$5.25.
Okay, well, 5.25, right? Lord Jesus. And now we're at 1838. So that means the people that had to work their way up, that's been there 20-something years, are now comparable to the people that are walking and making that same amount. Am I correct?
So, I think that's where things like longevity come in, where they are taking home more at the end of the day than someone who's just walking into the position. So if I've been in the job 10 years, I get a $5,000 addition to my pay, over the course of the year, $5,000 more than you do because you just started. So our hourly rate But also with steps, it would be different. So, you know, if the contract has steps, then I'm on, you know, step 5 within the grade, you're starting out at step 1 within the grade, and I'm getting longevity. So we do try to compensate folks who have been here longer to make sure that somebody walking in the door isn't making the same amount as somebody who's been with us for 10 years. So we compensate that through steps and through longevity.
So someone that has been here 10 years, somebody walking in the door would not be making the same thing?
No, and I think that reflects the range there of, you know, a laborer 1, right? I'm assuming, not looking at it, but there's a range for a laborer 1. Yeah, so I think that would reflect the increase in the step payment for someone who's been here longer. So through the step, so you would, you know, you've been here 5 years, you're at step 5. You've been here 1 day, you're at step 1, and you need to stay here in order to reach step 5. So those people are not making the same. And the person who's been here longer is getting a longevity payment. Does that make any sense?
No, but I told you already.
So as each year you stay, you get an increase in pay.
Right.
And so somebody who's just starting out is not at the same level as somebody who's been here.
So Jeremy, this is really not to you. It's really, so let me just get clarified.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm saying if I started 5 years ago, right? And 5 years ago, minimum wage, or we were making $14, right? And every year I got a little bit more, but now we're starting at $18.38. So you're telling me people who are starting now are not making more money than people that might have started 4 or 5 years ago?
I mean, as the contracts have increased, the rate of pay increases. So, you know, the rate of pay for an entry-level laborer 1 was different a year ago than it was the year before. You know, so as we negotiate contracts, the starting rates and all the corresponding rates after that end up going up, and longevity payments increase. So, I mean, we do.
So as the contract, the people that were there before, theirs go up too. So nobody.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so everybody who's employed, if we give a 3% across the board raise, everybody's getting that 3% raise, and then that increases the amount of the starting, so then we can continue to attract people to come work for us.
I'll ask more later.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bulldogs.
All right, so we're good on main office. Environmental service, where Councilor Caldwell was talking about. This is our first response, pretty much department where, you know, they litter pick, they do all code piles. They work with the code department. They pretty much work with every department, to be honest. Parks, water, you know, engineering. They have, I think, about 14 individuals led by Andy Jack, who's a great, as everybody knows, Andy's awesome. So, any questions on this department?
I'm looking in your lines right there. You guys don't do any training? There's no training for Department of Public Works people?
That comes out of HR, I believe, the training department. Right? Budgeted in HR? And that's for the entire city. I think they do training for pretty much everybody.
So it's all lumped in one big bucket?
They also are the people that train our employees for CDLs too. So we got 2 individuals to do that.
Okay.
All right, moving along. We got building services, which is the department that's our electricians, our masons, our plumbers, our carpenters. Pretty much you see them around the building fixing whatsoever needs to be fixed, cleaning. Any questions here?
Rashida, look on page 160. You'll see the laborer ones and see the difference in the price. See it? You're on 160.
Nope.
That's why you don't see it.
And I put my glasses on. Okay.
You see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, keep going, because I got something for you on the next one.
All right now. So street repair. That's our next one. Is that?
Yes, sir. And I'm looking at asphalt production.
Yes.
It says tons produced. How much do we use? Tons.
Of asphalt?
Yeah.
I couldn't give you that off the top of my head.
Julie, you got it?
I don't think anyone in here could probably give you that.
Who?
I don't think anyone in here that can give you that one. I can get back to you on that one, though. Asphalt.
I would also like to ask about the revenue of the asphalt. Is it possible that with the production of our asphalt at our plant, that we could also work an agreement or have some type of billing to receive revenue from other municipalities to buy from us?
I think that we had talks of that years back. This year, we are not firing up the asphalt plant this year. But in years to come, I'm guaranteed those talks will start to surface again, and I'll be happy to bring you in on any discussions.
Thank you.
Can I ask you what prompted us not to fire the plant up this
I
year?
think it's more of a staffing issue and my comfortability of staffing that. I think our guys can do it. I mean, they begged me to keep it running. Not to say I don't have confidence in the guys. It's just I think the prominent guy that actually ran it retired, as well as his assistant retired. And
That's what I was going to ask you. You don't have any dedicated people to do that?
yes, they retired. So it would be another guy that worked with them.
Too, right?
Yeah, and we would have to find another person to help them. So I just wasn't overly confident in keeping it running.
I've been here 12 years, and we've never really fully utilized our asphalt plant. Is there at some point that we may go to full capability of this plant?
It was $10 million, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we had those talks before, and we always come up short every year using that plant. Even if we were using it 7 days a week, I don't think we would be able to use it in full capacity. That's just my opinion, but so we will have, I think, more discussions to come.
Okay, so we can sell it back to somebody for $10 million, and then they could fire it up, and okay.
That would be above my pay grade to
That's Corey.
Question about the granite curbs.
yes, ma'am.
Curbing, queen of curbs. What's the cost per linear foot?
I would have to get back to you on that one as well, unless Neil Burke, my guy, do you have any, okay.
I'm just wondering how that fits into the road reconstruction cost of the $10 million.
I could tell you one thing, that granite is way, way more expensive than, what's the other stuff we use now? The other curbing. Concrete curbing.
Mm-hmm.
Way more. I just,
More durable.
It's more durable because of the plows, and we tend to use it more downtown than other places, granite. But when I first got in here, we used granite everywhere, everywhere, and that took up a lot of chunk of paving roads. So that's why it went from, when we got in here, it was 18 roads that we paved. Thing in 2018, and that's pushing it. I think it's 15 to 18, and that steadily increased 19, and then we went through the pandemic. Then after the pandemic, we realized that most of our money was in the granite curbing. So
Is it a cost savings because we're using the better quality material?
You mean, is it a cost savings to use granite?
Yeah, because if we use concrete.
I mean, we tried to do the analysis in 2019 going into 20, and the pandemic kind of put a little hold on that. But we can look into that to see, so we can give you some numbers so you can see it.
But if the curbs aren't bad with the granite, you don't replace them, right?
No, ma'am. I was trying to tell that to Councilor Schultz over there.
Well, it's a balance, right? It's a balance. The more you spend on granite curbs, the less you can spend on the roads, correct? I mean,
correct.
So it's sort of like a,
Correct, and tell that to a person that, we had a mayor's walk on the south end last week, and talking to some of the residents that haven't seen their road plowed in 40 years. not plowed, sorry, not paved in 40 years.
Easy.
It's a little Freudian slip, sorry. I went to Nottingham, don't.
All I can say as far as balance goes with me, there's no balance. People complain way more to me about roads than they do about curbs.
Exactly. So that's why we try to tend to put our money in roads than
It used to be half our budget was the curbs, like that's
exactly.
literally. So
When you had us, counselor, we had those talks, and we decided to, with your help, we got rid of some of those granite curbing.
Jeremy, you really think, excuse me, Commissioner, I was saying.
It's okay. It's
Do
okay.
you really, I know we're moving forward with the getting the roads fixed and getting improved. Do you think this is going to be like longevity, that we're going to have some good roads? Because, for instance, we go from Syracuse to Camillus, and you see the total difference, right, of the roads. Do you think this is going to help, or do we need to go like?
No, I think we're moving in the right direction. Okay. Like I said, 2018 was, I think that was one of the worst years we had. In my tenure, and we just steadily getting better. Like I said, the pandemic put a little monkey wrench on a lot of stuff, but we got out of there in 2021, 22. We, full steam ahead. So.
Back to Councilor Green's comment about granite curbs being a significant portion of the paving budget. How then can you create the road recon list without thinking about curbs beforehand? Do you have like a set amount of money that you're able to allocate to curbs, or if every single one of those streets needed full curbs, you're not going to be able to replace them, right? So.
Not necessarily. I mean, I'll defer to my guy Neil Burke on that one. I know we usually go out and evaluate the roads prior to, and we put a number on it. It's just a ballpark until we can actually get in there and see exactly what slabs need to be. And when I say slabs, I mean curbing that needs to be repaired, and we'll go by that. But Neil, do you have any input on curbing and how the process goes on recon?
Yeah, good afternoon, Council. Neil Burke, DPW. Yeah, as you've heard, curbs are an important part of the roadway, especially on improved streets. They're a vital piece of the road, but if we can reuse what's there, we do. In a lot of instances, we do have to replace curb, but it is a case-by-case basis. So entirely context sensitive. We won't know 100% with certainty our exact linear feet before the recon season, because we have to walk each and every one of those streets. We go up and down them, we paint them up. If we can save it, we will. But if we have to replace it, we only replace what we need to replace. That is a significant change from the way things were done in the past. I think we've heard that a couple of times over, but it's worth repeating that we reuse anything we can. But if it's failed, it needs to be reset, or it's old Medina, the old sandstone curbs, we have to replace that as we do our road recon. But we take a very judicious approach to using this because there is a cost there.
Well, how much of a cost is between concrete and granite?
I don't remember what the analysis showed us, but the cost isn't, between $1 and $10,000. There is a significant investment in labor cost. So the biggest cost is in labor. So someone has to dig that out, replace that curb. The process looks very much the same. It's just the end result, the end material is slightly different. So there is a cost saving up front with the materials, but it's not a wide gulf as if we would save $10 million if we went to concrete. And then there's also the cost benefit analysis of concrete not lasting as long as granite. So what would that replacement cycle look like?
Especially with the plows.
Especially with the plows. And you've seen it in years past. There were some experiments that didn't work out very well with concrete curb, with steel facing. Hasn't lasted. When we come across it, we have to pull it out, just like the old sandstone stuff.
Okay.
More curb question, then I'm done, I promise. On page 163, it says curbing is the last line. So what is an activity indicator? What does that number reflect? Is it a block? Is it what's 15 mean?
It's under street cuts?
163, yeah. Street repair, it says
I have
curbing.
no idea what that.
2021, it was 19, and this year you're asking for 15 or planning for 15. What is the activity indicator?
I think we can get back to you on that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that number is, but we can look into it and get back to you. I'm not sure what it's telling you.
Yeah, me neither.
It's definitely not linear feet or anything like that.
And this isn't a curb question, but it's the last one. Those manhole covers that are now recessed because the street has been paved up above them, and now they're really kind of their own potholes. Is there any way to avoid doing that, or how do you raise the lid?
Yeah, so they can be raised. You know, it's a kit of parts. It's not a simple process, but there is a process to, say, raise or lower manholes or other street features, basins, things like that. And we do. There's a tolerance there. We can't raise it 6 inches or lower it 6 inches necessarily, but if we do resurface the street, we try and look at it as close as we can. And if there are any that are low, we try and adjust those as much as we can. But it's a process, and we're working to improve each and every year.
Is there an inch threshold that is tolerable?
I don't know what the tolerance would be off the top of my head, but we don't look to put back a 6-inch depression where there's a manhole or anything like that. We do try and work these in and feather them in as much as possible. And when we need to, we ask our friends in the engineering department to shoot us grades and get us the information that we need.
Okay, thanks.
Good. All right. That was street repair.
The one operator is going to be 0, right? Or is it going to still?
Where are you talking?
On 164.
164. Yeah. Which asphalt plant operator?
Yeah.
Yeah. For right now, it's
okay.
I mean, we got a budget for it because
right.
No one knew I wasn't gonna.
Right. Okay.
All right. So next department is Department of Motor Equipment Maintenance. That's our garage where we fix all our trucks. Also help out the Parks Department in their trucks as well. And they are busier than ever all the time. Anybody got any questions on the garage?
What about the vacancies in the garage?
Rich, how many? 2? 5? We got, how many heavies? 2. Yeah.
Mechanics, right?
Heavy mechanics is that's the biggest one for us, is the mechanics. We do have other helpers and other employees in the garage. I mean, they're important, but the most important to me is trying to fill those heavies, because they are the ones that fix the trucks with the helpers. Any questions on that? All right, so snow and ice is a department that is combined into 2 or 3 departments. I should add sewers, street repair, and street cleaning form snow and ice for a 2-shift operation in the winter from November, I want to say 1st to about April, this first week in April.
So I do have just a general question on the snow and ice. So some of the older sidewalks aren't as wide as the newer sidewalks. So I've noticed a few times with the little mini tractor things that's plowing the snow on the sidewalks, it's tearing up people's grass. So in that case, who's responsible? The company that we outsource to, the owner, or the city of Syracuse?
I believe it's the company, but Neil can elaborate more.
Good to see you again. Yeah, so this wouldn't necessarily be under snow and ice, but good question. Yeah, we have a number of older sidewalks. The machines that are used are variable, so it's a straight blade, but they can angle it down, angle it up, depending on the width. But what you see a lot of the times is where grass grows in along the edges and it's slowed off. As well as, it's not a perfect science, they do their best job, right. But any repairs, any issues that you have, you can always tell folks, just put it right in on City Line. We get a list that's spit out to us, we hand it to the contractor, and they fix it.
Okay.
So if it's clumps of grass or there's a spot of mud or anything, just let us know and we'll give it to them.
Okay, thank you.
Where does JSK appear in the budget?
That would be under transportation, right? Wouldn't that be under sidewalk?
Be under municipal sidewalks.
Yeah. What's that? What department is that under, Julie? Is that a different fund?
So the snow clearing is under the sidewalk maintenance program?
Yes.
So the fees that we're assessing, property owners are paying for that?
Right.
And also, I think it was, I sent an email last week, I think, and $300,000 is what was spent on that program last year. Does that include repairing
Yes.
the green as well?
Yep. Includes all of it.
That's crazy. And I'm looking in here, Commissioner, on this one, you actually in the 600 line, you do have travel and training development in there.
What page are we on?
168. Just.
Yeah, training for the mechanics that takes place as well. They, Rich DeVesti and his team over there usually sends his team out to get certified on different things, as far as like being New York State cert to certify a truck, or a welder trying to attain his license as a welder, or
Heavy equipment? Because I know we were having trouble getting heavy equipment mechanics, so is that part of this?
Yeah, so Rich DeVesti. I have like manufacturers come in, like Cummins Engine will come in and give a class on how to do repair their stuff.
Okay.
So it's more specific. That kind of training is more specific to what we have that we need to learn how to fix, because it's constantly changing and computerizing.
How are we doing?
How are we doing?
Yes.
We do a couple classes a year, and I'm training people for welding.
So we're doing okay with that as far as
Okay with
heavy
that.
equipment? We have the people to work on it?
We could always use more mechanics. There's a lot to learn. And back to your other question about the temps. The garage picked up a temp from last summer. We hired him over the winter, and he's a mechanic trainee.
Okay.
So if there's somebody good in the different departments network and say, hey, I've got a good person that's going to lose their job in the fall, we try to place them.
Okay.
So I got a really good young guy that's doing well, learning how to be a mechanic.
Okay.
We worked the floor for years. So we're trying. We all work together. All the bureaus work together to try to keep anybody that's worth keeping.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got to say that this type of stuff wasn't happening in 2018 when we got here, and once we hired Rich, he implemented a lot of things to help us as far as train our own and train outside people that's actually coming in. Like he said, a good employee that we didn't want to get rid of, he actually trained him to be something to help us out in the garage. And Rich is a...
You said you do it with, you don't have to get back up, but you said you do it with the manufacturer. So once you have someone trained, do you have guys ever train the trainer?
Well, we have to have them come back because they do updates every year, just like trucks. They change every year. So we have to have them come back and tell us what they changed the year before. Especially emissions. Emissions change every year. And emissions is what we have to talk about.
All right.
Great hire. Thanks, Rich. I think we left off on snow and ice. Any questions on that? All right, we move on to sanitation, which is our waste collection and recycling and disposal. As you know, this year, like I said, we couldn't do this without you, but the new sanitation program is coming. Highly anticipated, debated, whether you like it or not. I think it's going to be a great thing for the city. And yeah. Any questions on sanitation? All right.
I do. So this might be Corey. I don't know if it might be for you. But so
I need you to speak up faster.
You want me to speak up?
He asked 3 times. He said, do you have any questions?
I wasn't quick enough? I know, I was thinking on it. So do we have a plan to measure the success when it comes to workers' compensation? And I know one of the reasons that we really wanted to do this was a drop in workers' comp. But, and I guess, what is your expectation to see that get better as we roll out the trash carts? How soon?
I don't think we know the answer to that question. So we're at just short of $5 million a year in workers' compensation costs. New claims are the vast majority of that, and 68, close to 70% of that comes from sanitation. So we can measure it. I don't know how quickly we expect to see a decline. We certainly intuitively expect to see a decline, and we are able to not just measure it, we're able to see it in real time through our third-party administrators. So I don't know how quickly, but our goal would be to save somewhere around half of that overall through a combination of innovation and through a pretty aggressive safety program that we're in the process of putting in place.
So if most of those are lifting injuries, we're not removing the lifting part of their jobs though, right? So they're still going to be going out picking up couches, large set-outs, like they're going to be lifting less but still lifting. So is it possible that we don't see any movement in workers' comp?
I think it would be, I don't think we're not going to see anything. I don't think that's possible. I think we're going to see a reduction based on the innovation and the changes in operations, but I'm hopeful that combining that with a very aggressive safety campaign that Lisa Schmidt in Human Resources, our recently hired risk and safety manager, yeah, Lisa's really got a very aggressive plan.
Okay. I'm all set, Councilor Caldwell. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so next department we have is street cleaning. I think last year we made some great strides in that department as far as picking up C&D, which is construction debris, as well as Christmas trees and yard waste. I think we did a great job. And we're on schedule. So couldn't say that in 2018, 19, and 20, but we steadily got better with the help of First Deputy Commissioner Ann Fordock and our street cleaning team. I think we got 10 times better over the last 2 years.
Can you explain the drastic reduction in the sweeper waste tons collected? It was 7,600 and you got it down to 1,060? And didn't we just get a bunch of new sweeper trucks recently? So we have more trucks, but we're gonna sweep less.
I'm trying to think. Jenna, do you we're looking at the activity indicator for sweeper waste, and there was a drastic change. I think that it's because we're taking it to Camillus landfill now. Instead of it being mixed in with other waste. Would that be a good explanation?
We can get back to that.
But it's still collected though, regardless of where it's disposed.
I think it
should be separated out maybe?
Well, it is separated now. We are taking it specifically to Camillus landfill, and that started when the Pete Street site, DEC came in and did a brownfield cleanup, and so they took away that site from us. So we started sending it to Camillus landfill. And so these may just be better numbers because it wasn't being deposited with other waste. But that's my guess. So yeah, we should probably double check.
Yeah, we'll double check. Get back to you.
I want to touch on a few indicators because I'm looking at appliances and scrap metal, and it says it's 0% of your total budget. How is that possible?
So metal doesn't cost, if you're collecting metal, it doesn't cost you anything to dispose of it. So it's 0% of the total budget because it's not a cost.
It doesn't cost to go pick it up?
It doesn't cost anything for disposal, but we're not,
You're going to get washers and dryers, it doesn't cost?
We don't, that is, well, first we don't pick that up, it gets picked up by scrappers. So we don't have.
And I hear what you're saying,
yeah.
but all of it does not get picked up by scrappers, okay? So the parts that's left on the streets, they don't cost us anything to pick that up?
I can say that sanitation isn't picking them up. If Andy picks up, when he's out doing litter picking, picks up, some random pieces of metal, that is a part of the entire street. But Sanitation isn't picking up the items.
Tires either, right? They're 2% of the tires, but I know that we have mountains of tires, so
Yep.
we're not
And those are
doing that.
tons in that figure. So it's 2% of the total budget, but it is tons in the other, that 320.
So if a resident calls saying that they have those kinds of items like washers, dryers, things like that, do we at that point don't pick them up either?
We wait for the scrappers.
They can set them out and a scrapper will grab them.
But our intentions is to go pick them up. just to clarify.
Is that an illegal set out?
But usually the scrappers will pick them up before DPW can get.
That's what happens normally. But when we get there and it magically disappears, it's like, you know, we usually do say thanks.
So with that being said, given that, let's say the scrapper doesn't get to it before DPW gets to it, is that considered an illegal set out? Will they get fined or ticketed for that, or would it be
Not
okay
if
for them to do that?
not if they called that in, no.
Okay, just checking.
No. But if you didn't, you should see a fine on your door.
No, you
That's
shouldn't.
my point.
Why
That's
wouldn't
what I'm saying.
Because I think when you look through the city, through the policy and stuff, you can put out so much waste, and they say the size of a washer and dryer.
Well, yeah, if that's all you're putting out, but if you're putting out that plus all your other garbage and all your other things, then that's an illegal setup.
The ordinance says you have to.
You do have to call? I'll clear that up with you afterwards, President Hudson.
I don't care. I ain't got
No, I want to clear it up.
I gotta put one out.
I want to make sure that we get it right.
So is all of Peak Street a brownfield or partial?
So behind J.C. Smith, there is a portion of it that is a brownfield.
Oh, you were dumping, I thought we were talking about Lowe's, that big
Those,
parcel.
we have that, we own.
That's not a brownfield?
No.
Oh, okay. So you were dumping behind J.C.
We were using it as a transfer station. Something, not like we were doing.
Not leaving it there.
Or anything.
No, but
Jurassic Park?
temporary.
Yeah, we call it Jurassic Park. I believe Eric Ennis would like us to not refer it. So.
It's always going to be Jurassic Park. But we're good?
DOT.
There we go. Department of Transportation. As you can see, we've been trying to update our meters. I think it's going pretty well. Could be better than, could be better. But we are going to, I think we had 75 just before the winter. We're doing another 75 that we just did. Like what, this last upcoming in April, I meant to say.
Did you do the problematic ones first, and then how did you just?
Yeah, we strategically did the ones that mostly we try to focus on the downtown area, the SU area, the areas that that we know that there's some issues that we would need to get there first. So, and then we'll roll out the rest. And then there's like I said, there's a phase that we have to just iron out. I mean, the tickets didn't print, or someone didn't collect the money, or stuff like that. That's just a trial and error thing that we got to work with the vendor.
Mm-hmm.
So our team is working hand in hand with the vendor to try to iron out those issues.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, because I know a couple of them downtown were printing out blank tickets and they were getting ticketed for
Exactly,
that. So, yeah.
exactly. So Leah and her team is working with us as well as our contractor to try to iron out some of those issues.
Gotcha.
So if a meter goes down, Commissioner, I mean, do we notify the meter maid, whoever's in charge of the meter maid, saying this meter up on Washington Street is?
If you can, yeah, if they're around, you can find them. That'd be a good source.
Is it like I just think with the age of technology, it might be like an email or something like that to them.
You just call City Line and they can always put a ticket in for it.
The supervisor should notify them at the Councilor Hogan's point to let them know, like, if they have vehicles that are being parked on this particular street and this, say, meter number 74 is printing out blank tickets. I think it's kind of unfair for us to be charging people if they don't know that meter number 74 or 75 and 76 along that row is not working properly, and then we give them a ticket. And, you know, depending on who it is, sometimes some people are able to dispute it, some people aren't able to dispute it, and then we receive revenue from that. So this, just to Councilor Hogan's point.
Yeah, I would just think that when the meter maids are, you know, mustered out, you know, here's the meters that aren't working, don't give people a ticket. I mean,
They got a different name, Councilor Hogan.
what are they called? Meter people? Meter people?
Parking meter attendants.
checkers?
Yeah.
Parking checkers.
Parking meter checkers. See, I didn't see the administration jump out there saying what their titles are.
Helpful to have the number city line on the machine, so when it prints a blank or whatever, the constituent knows in the moment to call rather than call the counselors, which is usually what happens. And then we reach out to you directly, like mainstream it.
I just take a picture of it.
But not all constituents understand that, you know?
It might be helpful.
And if it's on a Saturday, city line is not.
Yeah, that might be helpful. I just don't know how we'll go about doing that, but we can look into it.
Just put it on.
Yeah, we can look into that.
Great.
Got to make sure that we iron that out with administration.
Can I talk about revenue a little bit?
What page is that?
I'm not particularly, because I'm just looking, and I'm looking at the traffic signs replaced, I'm looking at the different poles replaced. So I do know that from what I thought I understood is that if I was to hit a pole with my car and it came down, that my insurance would have to cover that. Is that still the case?
I'm looking to Frank.
It is still the case? So do we have,
Not a lawyer.
okay, but Frank is, so let him come and talk about it.
But I do know that law will go after folks if they can.
We will repair it first, and then we'll subrogate with the insurance company.
So let me ask you this, do we have a total amount of how much has been paid by the insurance companies to the city?
Law does, yes.
Okay, because I would like to see that number.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of things that get taken down by auto accidents. And
Sure.
Also, a few months ago, Councilor Caldwell was mentioning something about intersections over at Gaddis and Boulevard. Has that been looked into?
Yes. We've instituted a couple of small timing changes. We have some items that we're looking at related to striping to help trucks make the turns. So, in short, yes.
Okay. And other traffic lights and everything are up to date, up to par so far? Or what do you...
They're all great. They're all perfect.
No, let me go about the traffic lights. Let's talk about Lodi and North Salina Street, because there's always a ton of traffic hanging out, and then when it turns green for these people to go, they can't go because the light ahead of them has not changed over yet.
Timing problem.
Oh, the synchronization initiative thing, wasn't that part of something?
So if there's a specific issue like that, we can always look into it. But yeah, we have to balance it. We have people coming and going in every direction. We only have so many seconds in a cycle.
And I get that. So the people going north on Salina Street, they just have to sit there and wait for it to cycle 3-4 times before they can get through, right? I don't think that's how it's supposed to work.
We can get Mike McNeil, who's our...
Yeah, like I said, we can take a look. I can't tell you what it's doing right now off the top of my head.
Every day.
So you said 3 or 4 cycles it takes to get through the light?
It's about 2 cycles to get through that light because traffic is hanging out when it's supposed to be open this way.
Just get with Mike on that.
2 to 4? Okay.
All right.
Wait, come back. See?
So if you have specific questions about specific intersections, you can always reach out, because now it's kind of a tough time for me to scribble everything down, but just, you can get a hold of us. We'll look into it. We got our guys.
I got a pen for you.
I got one.
It's recorded. We can look back.
So, question, because it's about a school zone. I mentioned it before, is in front of, come on, Pat, help me out, the church right there. Here's the bakery, right there.
Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart, right? It's a lot of traffic every day because of the church and then the school. That one I mentioned before about us getting some kind of...
Right, we for the student crossing, yeah, we did. We put up new signage, SPD, we work with them to get some stuff installed, make it very obvious where the crossing is, and really highlight it for not just people walking, but also for the motorists as well.
No, like an arrow.
So,
Or is that a state thing?
we don't generally add protected lefts or things like that unless it's part of a larger project. That's a significant project to rework a signal in that matter.
And how do we get that project going to look at a study? And the only why I say that because that church has a huge congregation, and you ever try to turn left when cars are, that's a busy intersection. Harrison Bakery is very busy. I know I'm like their favorite people, right? And that school. So you're talking about people are trying to, in the morning time, between 7 or something, it's really hard going that way. And on Sundays, it's hard to turn. So
Agree. It's a balance, and we've got to move people across that intersection every which way, especially pedestrians, cars coming north, south, east, west. So there are limitations to some of our intersections. We're an urban environment. We're not out Route 57 somewhere that has plenty of time and plenty of space. So there are difficulties, but again, we can always take a look. And we're happy to do so.
Thank you.
So regarding
go ahead.
street cleaning, again, with the revenue on the scrap metal, I know you said the junkers usually get them before we do, but it's listed as revenue. It's not a cost to the budget, so only costs are in this budget. Where is the revenue?
Good question.
What's redeemed?
Do we even have a revenue sheet?
From scrap metal?
From metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll share that after. Okay, great.
Local street signs. I know a couple of them are being blocked by trees and things like that. So
Yeah, just report that. We usually we can take care of that, trim that.
okay, appreciate it. A couple stop signs too, and over at
Yeah, usually a stop. We usually have to trim that one over there on Onondaga, right there by Centro.
Yeah.
Burned area.
And also Brighton on the south end of Brighton, also on the south end of south end of South Ave, along the creek side. Sometimes cars have to pull out, into the intersection before they can make a turn left or right or go straight. So I don't know if
We could check in that.
Because of vegetation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That's usually where all the vegetation is. That's the same area.
Right.
Because of the creek. Good.
How many decorative lights do we own? Do you know?
Ken Townsend.
There's Ken.
How many decorative lights do we own?
2,700 decorative? Wow, I'm not, okay. So we have 2,700, those right out there, those are decorative. Those are ours, because they got a big old S in them.
Yep.
Okay, but, so you're counting the ones that we take a head and put it on a wooden pole, that's considered decorative too, right?
That's not a decorative, that's a Cobra head.
Okay, so we have 2,700 of those?
2,700 of those scattered throughout the city. Meadowbrook, Sedgwick, Strathmore, those are all your decorative fixtures. You have your aluminum poles, which are the straight pole with a 90-degree davit arm with Cobra headlights. We've got about 3,000 of those total, including the highway. And then the remaining are the wood Cobra head poles throughout the city.
Okay, because they told me...
A little over 12,000 of those wood poles.
Okay, 12K, the Cobra. Okay, because they told me the ones they stick the pole on, they're decorative. So everything that's decorative is the ones outside the door.
Decoratives are going to be, when I say a decorative fixture, it's the fixture itself. So Auto Row on West Genesee Street, those are decorative fixtures on a wood pole.
That's what I was asking you. They're on a wooden pole.
Those are decorative fixtures, yes. So it's the fixture and not the assembly. The fixture is decorative. I think there's 37 of those that are on Auto Row.
Those are the ones I was talking about.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Another question, what's the street lighting manager got added, but then the coordinator got zeroed out?
I think that's in another.
I think that was a title change.
But it went down,
No,
Yeah, I got a cut and pay.
21 to a 17. Is that you?
That's me.
Executive, was executive, now it's middle manager.
I went from working for the administration, now I'm in a
He's
union.
in a union.
Oh, now you're union.
Yeah.
Oh.
Glad you're not going anywhere. Thank you.
It doesn't mean I'm not going anywhere.
I said, I'm glad you're not going anywhere.
Oh,
Yeah, we said at the same time. We really value your work. You are Mr. Expedient, and I'm really grateful.
well, I want to say thank you, everyone. This
Really quick.
So, yeah.
Transportation planner in Sura, transportation planner inspection, what is that?
Where are you looking at?
Well, it's the Sura attachment. You guys don't have it in front of you unless you rock the attachment.
I don't even have my glasses. Which one? Top.
Transportation.
It says it's
Vacant?
43?
is there an opening in transportation?
DPW transportation planner inspector vacant.
The transportation planner that you're asking about is the one that came over from the county abstract.
Will eventually be, with the changes, will eventually be reconciled out. So usually every 2 years, they do the reconciliation is usually a couple years behind.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you to the commissioner, the DPW, and everyone here. We have to go to our next one.
30 seconds.
Starts right now.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
So thank you.
Hey, I'd like to thank everyone too. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Smile.
I'm trying.